Let's play some hockey. Tonight.
Energetic, passionate, and savvy. Gouche Live. Brought to you by the good people at the Hockey News and Sports Illustrated. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the Gouche.
Robert Wine, what would it be like to have a Gouche Live show without a small little technical issue? Hey, I was just saying, thank you for joining us here at Gouche Live, of course, at the bottom line, 22 Front Street. Brady Leovold, thank you for pointing out that you couldn't hear this incredible voice. Love hearing your voice on your show. And of course, we're at the bottom line, which is 22 Front Street, brought to you by those good people, Hockey News, and of course, Sports Illustrated. We've got a great show. I can't even remember what I said at the beginning of it all, but here's what it is. It is hockey time. Last night, though, I was here at an event for the Amazing Race Canada. It was one of those events you don't want to miss. So make sure you check it out. That we host a bunch of shows here with Gouche Live and, of course, The Bottom Line. It's brought to you by those good people at Hockey News and, of course, Sports Illustrated. And it is hockey time. You know what that means? The producer, Jordan LaRoche, is joining me. Jordan LaRoche.
Good. Sorry about that, everyone.
What happened?
I mean, there's audio coming through on my mixing board. It's not on StreamYard, which it happens.
Nothing wrong with that. Listen, it wouldn't have any fun if we didn't have a couple tech issues to get Robert Wine all pumped up, because he comes on the show just to see if we make it happen, and certainly we did. Listen, I was talking about the event last night. It was absolutely incredible. This place was completely full, and the two people that won it certainly deserved it. They were incredible winners. And the young lady right now, I'm sorry, it was a late night, I forget her name. She's battling brain cancer, and she won it along with her friend, Craig Ramsey. My goodness, her speech at the end of the night was absolutely, truly inspirational. And what her point was, and what's very important for all of us, regardless of where you are, where you live, take each moment as a blessing, because it is. And certainly being on Gouche Live with you, Jordan, is a blessing. And I think you have something to announce.
I do?
Yeah. We're doing something together on Saturday.
Oh, yes. Oktoberfest is back. We're doing it again this year. I am reprising my lederhosen from last year, apparently.
I hope you shave your legs. Hey, listen, of course, don't forget to check out all the great shows here on Gouche Live. Of course, at the locker room, we've got the practice squad.
Yep.
I know you guys were talking about football. unfortunately, my Minnesota Vikings did not look good. Full compliment because they shut down Jefferson.
Yeah, no, and the Eagles are kind of one of these teams that a lot of people were kind of thinking that they're going to be a dark horse this year. I mean, they have a good young quarterback in Jalen Hurts. He's really shown this year that he's a true starter in this league. And then Darius Slay in that game with 2 interceptions, mainly guarding Jefferson all game. He's incredible. And we were reminded last year of how good this Eagles team is.
Yeah, of course. All right, Brady Leobo, thank you for joining us. Thanks for giving a little tip. Do a shout on your next show. Who do you got coming on? We'll let people know who's on it. Listen, we've got some great shows right after our show later this afternoon. Will be Billy the Greek and, of course, Storm and Nolan, always a great one. And I love the fact that they've been sponsored by Carpet for Life. Nick, honestly, the mayor of Carpets, don't miss that. I want to get into the hockey right away. Obviously, we don't know what's going to go on in the new year. Obviously, we don't know who's going to win the Stanley Cup. We don't know who's going to be the MVP. We don't know who's going to be the Conn Smythe, the Norris Trophy winner, the Calder Cup. All those things we do not know. But you know what we know? Nathan Mackinnon is the most highly paid NHL player at this moment. And we're going to go through the list. I think deservedly so. I wish that I could just get his interest so I could buy his jersey and put it in my collection. Number 29, of course, we don't. Oh, that's why I wore it. Number 29. What is going on out there? Those are sick numbers.
I mean, do you think it's a bit of a shot at Connor McDavid, considering that he's getting paid $100,000 more than McDavid?
A year?
Yeah,
Or total?
per year.
Do with $100,000.
So McKinnon's making 12.6 for the next eight years, which starts after this season. Extensions, and McDavid is still in the middle of his $12.5 million contract. So, it's definitely a huge milestone in the NHL. I think we're going to keep seeing salaries go up. I don't know if everyone's going to be making $12 million, but at least for right now, congratulations to him. I mean, he's about to make a big lifestyle change, I would assume.
No question. And, of course, don't forget the Colorado Avalanche will be looking at probably paying another player in the very near once he his contract now named Cale Makar.
Yep.
So if that Nathan MacKinnon is getting money, how much of a contract will be put together for arguably, I would say, a player that's changing the dynamic of defensemen, very similar to what Bob Orr did back in the 60s and 70s. And even Bob Orr said he's the closest thing to him as far as the transformation of being a. Let's go through the other players. 0.6, you mentioned McDavid. I think Edmonton will have to step up when his new contract comes up in a few years to 12.7. Your buddy's getting a pretty good payday in New York.
Artemi Panarin with 11.6. I mean, for him, I think it's kind of fitting as well. He was nominated for the Hart Trophy just a couple of years ago, and he's coming off what's probably his highest total points as well. So he's going to keep getting better with his Rangers team as they keep evolving.
Of course, there are rumors, Matthews, they're talking maybe a contract. There's some contract talks. I saw that on the news today.
He actually did come out this morning and say that he's going to wait till after the season to
start talking
about talks. Yeah.
Been approached and addressed, and he's at 11.64, the same as Panarin.
I see him going. But again, it's not going to change too much the least considering it's only $1 million. But I don't see Austin Matthews taking a team friendly contract, or if the Leafs can't do it, I can see him leaving as well.
So, and I got a question to you in a second here, Carl. 11.5. Will he stay where he's at?
I mean, when his deal is done, it won't be that high, obviously. But this was signed off the back of his. If you look at it now, it's obviously not a great contract, but you have to remember Erik Karlsson at one point of his career was probably the best. So that's just kind of lingering around.
And then when you talk about Erik Karlsson, the fact that he came off a huge couple of seasons with the Ottawa Senators, really amassed to what everybody thought he would be. Of course, we talk about the Brent Burns factor and that injury certainly detracted from his abilities. San Jose is going in a different direction than Eric Carlson. I don't
Yeah.
think he wants to be there for a rebuild or even a retooling. Do you think there's any chance they would move him? And if they do move him, obviously they're going to have to give up, take back some of that contract.
Yeah, and they will. And I mean, right now the Sharks are right at the salary cap. So I mean, getting rid of him and keeping probably realistically $5-6 million of that deal, I think it's a great deal for them to potentially do something in the free agency further on. I'm just trying to find how much term. Eric Carlson still has 5 years left on this deal.
5 years at 11.5.
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
One day I think we should. I've seen it. I think the Hockey News did it. And I saw a couple of them saying some of the worst contracts right now at this particular moment. I'd love to dig deeper in that. Let's go to the Toronto Maple Leafs. You mentioned the situation with Matthews not maybe taking a friendly deal. Of course, everybody gets hard on this guy. Tavares at 11 mil. Let's be realistic. It's an over the top contract. I think the Leafs are probably looking at it right now saying, God, I wish we could take back a little bit of that. It's not going to happen. Your thoughts on they're not going to move him?
No, but you also have to remember when he signed this deal a couple of years ago, Tavares was the biggest name on the free agent market. I mean, he was having flying all over the country for meetings with different teams, and I think it just kind of turned into a bit of a bidding war. So at the time, it made total sense. But again, it's one of those things where you get into these long-term deals, and a guy just doesn't really pan out with a new team, which I don't think Tavares hasn't panned out by any means. But
He's a point a game.
he's a point per game player. $11 million might be a little bit much, but at the time, it seemed like the right thing to do. So
Yep, and he's the face of the team along with Austin Matthews and, of course, Mitch Marner, who we'll be talking about in a second. Man, goodness, love this guy, Drew Doughty.
Yeah.
Any team would love to have him on their team. Unfortunately, with his in, certainly will it set him back a bit, not sure. But at 11 mil, if he can play the way he's been playing previous, he's worth every cent.
yeah, and just a full, complete defenseman. He's good with the puck. He plays a physical game. He's good in his own end. I really want to see Drew Doughty back in the league. He's
a fun guy.
He's a great player to watch as well.
Yeah.
So hopefully he can kind of come back and go back to where he was when he left off. But after missing, I think it was like 60, 70 games this year, it might be a little rough off the start. But
hey, listen, it's always fun to play with guys like that. You know, the Burnsies of the world, the Drew Dowdys. Yeah, you are never not laughing when you're in the dressing room, which is a lot of fun. But when they put their game face on, you can't ask for two better ones. Yep. All right, listen, we're going to talk about the Mitch Marner story, the next Toronto Maple Leafs. When you look at the highest paid, the Leafs have three of them in there. Obviously, with Mitch Marner, 10.9 mil. I don't think you could not say that full value with Mitch Marner and Austin Matthews. I think that tandem is as good as Draisaitl and McDavid all around. But he's an okay. I'm not overly blown away by the 10.9 for what he brings to this team.
No, and if Mitch Marner was on any other team in the Leafs, we probably wouldn't be talking about this the way we are.
Yeah.
It's just because the Leafs have all this money tied up. And I mean, if you look at these are essentially the top 10 highest paid players in the league, and the Leafs have three of them.
Yeah.
So,
and of course, it comes always back to the fact that you're paying that kind of money. You want some success. First round exits doesn't bode well. Yeah. And you've got to take, if you're the big guys up front, you got to find a way to get them to the next level. And we're going to be talking about that very soon on our show, where we talk about the Leafs and the division they're in. Here's another interesting tandem. Kane, 10.5. Taves, 10.5. Chicago sitting in a situation where I'm not sure that the amount of money they're giving these two now hold the results that they need. They could use those assets if they would agree to move on and allow them maybe to get another shot at a Stanley Cup or go to a contender, because we know the Chicago Blackhawks are not going to be contending for probably even a playoff spot, let alone getting through a first round.
Yeah, and these two guys alone are taking up a quarter of Chicago's cap right now. And like you said, just not in a situation where they're going to be a winning team anytime soon. So there have been rumors circulating around Patrick Kane possibly being moved. I think as this year goes on, they're going to keep continuing, and I think as they get closer to the trade deadline, things could start heating up there. But for Chicago, they're probably not going to be able to move Jonathan Toews. That's going to be a really hard move to make. Just I don't think anyone could have foreseen what happened with his medical condition. So,
have we heard any more over the summer? Has there any been, like, I know he's back, but has there been any talk about lingering factors with that?
I haven't seen anything.
I will find that out because there is some chatter. Obviously, you mentioned Kane. Still, New York Rangers would be very interested if they could throw something together. Obviously, Cap plays a big role in that, but certainly he would be a tremendous fit. If, and we've had this discussion before, if Kane ended up Rangers, I think you put them in the same league as Carolina to maybe
100%.
go for a Stanley Cup. And then with Taves, I could see him going back to Winnipeg for his last couple of years. If there's anything that could be put together, that's the one deal that I think. Right now, I just saw Dropping the Gloves episode with our good friend Johnny Scott, and it was Winnipeg is a mess. And we've seen the Hockey News right. And there's Wayne Cowley last night. Great event here with The Amazing Race. How you doing? You are the man. You are the man. Don't forget, we're live down here at the Bottom Line. You can come and watch us. I see myself up on TV.
Oh yeah, I see it. Yeah.
Well, that's your face too. I don't know if you know it. But going back to the Winnipeg situation, everybody's talking about how big of a mess this is. When Bonus was signed, we were really thinking, man, there's going to be some changes. We're going to talk about that, right? Coming up very soon, this Friday night.
Yep, Friday.
We'll be talking about the Jets, so I won't spend too much time on it. But the one thing, the common consensus with everybody in the NHL and anybody who's involved with the organization, the Jets seem to be in trouble, and we'll analyze that a little bit more. And I know Scott Taylor's going to weigh in.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, for Jonathan Toews, I think a move to Winnipeg could be a captaincy as well.
Yep.
Maybe there's something in the works there that we don't know. Where
that's a good point.
Where they dump Wheeler for Jonathan Toews, which I don't really think will happen. But we're
going to go inside. I'll get some insider tips.
Sounds good.
Because I didn't think of that. Good thought. All right, listen. Let's move on to the last one. Which again, when you think about it, a team that could use this money, no question. $10.5 million for Price, but he's going on long-term IR, so he doesn't go up against cap anymore, does he?
In the offseason, he does. In the regular season, no.
Okay. So that's going to help them a little bit to be able to move up. Were they, if you don't mind me asking, I don't know if you have the answer right away, as far as their cap situation in Montreal, if they get that 10.5 down, this is a good hockey team. I would, if I'm a Montreal Canadian fan, I would not be too disgruntled with the fact that Price is not going to be back this year. We'd love to see him in a Habs uniform, but him being out and them getting that 10.5 back, how does it help him?
Not a whole lot. So with all these guys on the salary, on the injury reserve, so it's the off season right now. So their cap still counts towards the salary cap. They're at $92 million, so about $10 million over. Carey Price clears off 10.5. Sean Monahan, my math's brutal, so I guess they'll be okay. They'll be okay. I should have said.
Yeah.
Because Sean Monahan, Jonathan Drouin, and Paul Byron, who add up to about $14 million, will be coming off the cap, but some of them will be going back into the lineup.
Of course, yeah. All right. Well, we'll see how that plays itself out. But there's your top 10, and these don't lie. These numbers are factual. And when you see 2 Chicago Blackhawks in there and 3 Toronto Maple Leafs taking up half the total, what will we see coming in the future with some of these newer players like the Cale Makar? All right, let's talk about some recent. Retirements.
All right.
Unbelievable.
Yep.
3 in one day, and they're all defensemen.
Yeah, and I mean, for me, these are 3 guys that I pretty much saw their whole career. I still remember PK Subban being drafted and that whole kind of saga of Montreal. So, no, it's kind of a coming to Christ moment for me where I'm kind of realizing I might be getting a little old.
Yeah, well,
yeah.
So you can say that. I like PK Subban. I didn't think he was going to retire. When you get to be that age and the success that he's had, sometimes you're young and you know, difficult it is get off to work out. and you're not playing professionally. So think about that. Like you're at that age where maybe a couple of injuries, things haven't gone exactly the way you want. It's that motivation. You've got to be committed in the summertime to go and sweat and be ready to play. And maybe that's a situation where he just thought, you know what? Timing is everything. I want to move on in my life. He's got a lot of things going on. And maybe those are distractions. He just decided, you know what? I'm going to leave at a very good moment. I don't want to be pushed out. I want to leave on my own terms. And you can say that about all three of these guys that are retiring. But PK Subban, hell of a year. Hell of a career. Entertaining, pure. Heck of a shot. Loved in Montreal, obviously, with all your great charity work. He'll be missed.
Yeah, but I don't think, this won't be the end of PK Subban, at least for us, because, I mean, he still does a lot of commercials and a lot of the extra media stuff. So I'm sure we'll see him a ton. But I mean, there's one thing. He was drafted in 2007. I mean, I don't remember. I didn't think it was that long of a career.
Right.
But 15 years with 800 games played, 115 goals, 352 assists, 467 points, and one appearance in the Stanley Cup Final in 2017 when they lost to the Pittsburgh Penguins with Nashville. And just an all-around great career, a couple Norris trophies as well. But I mean, I'm kind of sad to see him go.
Me too. And of course, Montreal Canadiens love him for two things. One, obviously, what he did in Montreal, and he did give them Shea Weber.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. And unfortunately, his career was ended, obviously, with an injury. Zdeno Chara, 25 years. My wife, Tony, I don't want to say hate's the wrong word. Dislikes him for some reason. I think because he beat up on your Leafs, her Leafs so many times.
So many Toronto fans just hate Zdeno Chara.
Well, my wife does.
I was saying with some buddies yesterday. I mentioned that Chara retired, and he goes, "Screw that guy, f that guy." I'm like, "What?"
Yeah, well, it gives the Toronto Maple Leafs a chance not to meet up against them again. Drafted in 1996, third round. Obviously played for the Islanders, Ottawa, Boston, Washington.
And then back to the Islanders.
Yeah, I remember him more as a Boston Bruin, and that's a really classy act. He signed a contract yesterday, a one-game contract, so that he can retire a Boston Bruin. I love that.
Yeah, the NBA were really the first kind of people to do that. It's good to see that the NHL has kind of adopted that too. But caveat about Zdeno Chara is the last active player to lose a playoff series to the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Maybe that's why they hate him.
Probably. But a third rounder who put together a 26 year career, really remarkable, and just a menace on the ice for so long.
Yeah, and of course, when Leaf fans hear that name, it does bring back some bad memories, right? So I can understand that. All right, listen, here's a colorful, controversial player, Keith Yandle, 103 goals, 516 assists, 619 points in 1,100 games. Drafted in 2005, fourth overall. That's what I said. That's what you said that I said. Talk to me a little bit about the teams that he played for, because we didn't get a lot of them. I know he played for your Rangers, but we didn't. I think in Florida we heard a little bit more. Maybe in Philadelphia, and there was that whole Iron Man situation where they pulled him out and everybody was kind of upset. And that. What does Keith Yandle mean to the NHL?
I mean, so Keith Yandle, when he first time broke him with Phoenix, I mean, not a lot of people expected him to really make the lineup as a fourth round pick, but as soon as he made it, he was a bow player for a little bit, but once he really got a hold, he was and in his prime, he was probably one of the best puck moving defensemen in the NHL, and that kind of towards the end of Mike Green era, as we kind of we're getting into John Carlson. He was traded to the Rangers. I want to say around 2014, 2015. Played there for a couple of years. The same year they went to the Stanley Cup Final, he was a big part of that team. And in New York, we kind of saw a little bit of a decline in him. He goes to Florida, has a couple good years there, but same thing, just the age started to catch up to him. And obviously, Philadelphia, it ended his 989 consecutive game streak, which is the current NHL record.
Well, and he was a Warrior, and we hate to see him leave. So those are three pretty good defensemen in their prime. If you had them on one team, my goodness.
Yeah. No, I remember Keith Yandle, and I mean, he was almost like a fourth forward.
Yeah, he changed that defensive role into an offensive role. Again, we now see it so much with your Adam
Yep.
Fox, of course, and when we look at a Cale Makar, that is just exciting, dynamic defensive work that allows the offense to be a part more than ever. I love that type of defenseman, especially with their, again, we call it the edge work. The way they now can slide across the blue line, take a shot, get into the corners and pick up rebounds and be back. They're the first man back. Cale Makar and Adam Fox are behind the opponent's net, and all of a sudden they're coming and they're buying their own net.
Yeah.
So I really like that type of hockey.
Keith Yandle wasn't quite.
No, I know.
He
But it kind of started
a
little bit of the evolution.
Yeah, he didn't have quite the speed that those guys had. And
Not many
and
did.
I remember playing with the Rangers. Whenever they put him out for like the final 2 minutes, I couldn't watch.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a panic attack.
All right. Well, of course, being a Rangers fan. Okay, let's talk a little bit about obviously some of the shows that are coming up. I know on the Locker Room, you've done a great job with your own show, the Practice Squad. Obviously, we have Billy the Greek and Storm and Norman show. A lot of fun, a lot of entertainment. They just go at each other, and it's actually entertaining. Pure just that, but they know their stuff. They know their sports.
Yeah, no, I mean, honestly, I kind of thought Billy was all fluff for a little bit, but
he knows his stuff.
He does, and obviously he talks about his handicapping bets. And
How'd he do
his
this
record
week?
there? I can't remember off the top of my head.
You didn't do well, did you?
I never do.
Come on, you got to get better. All right, and then of course we got the sheriff.
Yep.
Yeah, I know he's got Ken Reed coming in. Brady Leopold was with him. That was a great show. Always entertaining, getting all these different guests. We're so excited about that for the Locker Room. Obviously, the Shticks are coming. The Six Sticks.
6 and the 6.
Yeah,
They're gonna be doing their first show on Leafs opening night on October 12th.
that's exciting.
And then we still talk about if we're doing pregame shows this year.
Yeah, we're gonna do pregame shows.
Okay,
We
perfect.
got to.
Perfect.
How can we not? People love our show. All right, and then we'll be bringing more guests and stuff. And of course, you do a great job with the Points Bet. They're doing an entertaining version of the NFL and betting show.
It's more about just learning how to bet, how to recognize good lines, what to look for when you're betting. They do talk mostly about the NFL because that's kind of what most betting is in sports right now.
Yep.
So they do talk a lot of NFL.
All right. So I'm looking forward to watching your show, obviously, the Practice Squad, and certainly help me stay calm about my Minnesota Vikings because I'll tell you what, they looked absolutely unbeatable in their first game. They lost to a good opponent in the Eagles, but certainly if you stop Jefferson and, of course, Cousins and Cook,
Well, I mean,
we're cooked.
Kirk Cousins was brutal. I mean,
We're cooked.
Get it? Yeah.
He was bad, wasn't he?
No, I mean we fall in the trap every year with the Vikings. We think they're gonna do well. We think they're a good team.
How'd you call him
And,
MVP?
and then Kirk Cousins does that like he does probably 2 or 3 times a season.
All right, Jordan, always a pleasure being with you, bud.
We do
More?
have one more thing we have to talk about.
What's that?
A trade that happened yesterday.
What do you mean a trade?
A pretty big trade.
Okay.
I
That's right. I saw it. You were kind of weepy-eyed. I was trying to figure out what went
it
on.
was not at all. So the New York Rangers traded Nils Lundqvist to the Dallas Stars for a first-round pick and a fourth-round pick. Nils Lundqvist wasn't happy with the Rangers, kind of the situation he's in with there right now because he's a right-sided defenseman. Look at the right side for the Rangers right now. You got Adam Fox, Jacob Trouba, and Braden Schneider,
You're not moving up.
who's really kind of So the writing was on the wall for him. He did spend some time in the NHL. He played about 20 games last year. Never really looked like he quite fit in. So the Rangers are going to go with a different direction, and he's going to be going to the Dallas Stars, who have a much better spot for him.
Need him.
Yeah, just a more depth to their defense, and with Jason Robertson not be reporting to camp when it opens. It could be a pretty messy situation in Dallas as well.
And you really like the fact that they got a first rounder.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the Rangers are going to use the pick in the draft. I think it will be for another trade.
Package it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll look forward to that, finding out what the Rangers get back for that. Obviously, always a pleasure. Thank you, Jordan LaRoche. Hey, listen, you're watching Gouche Live right here at the Bottom Line. Don't forget to come and check it out. 22 Front Street, of course. Always a pleasure having you down here. We've got a live studio audience. You can have some chicken wings. Just before I let you go, this morning I was had the opportunity to meet with a couple of team players that I've known for years, and we put together a heck of an event. It's called Give a Shift. It's going to happen November 19th. That's all I'm going to talk to you about. So I'm going to let you know, because over the next couple of days, we're going to be promoting it. It's called Give a Shift for mental health and concussions. We need your help. We're going to ask for your help, and it's all going to take place on November 19th at Paramount Ice, and we want you to be a part of it, and we'll tell you how to do that on Friday. All right. Thank you for spending some time with us at lunch here at the Bottom Line, brought to you by the good people at the Hockey News and Sports Illustrated. See you Friday night.
You've been listening to Gouche Live with your host, Kerry Goulet, better known as the Gouche, brought to you by the Hockey News and Sports Illustrated.